So if you go to like the second and third picture here. So essentially we're taking the top of that vase, we've mapped it like a horizontal axis to it. Now we're mapping a cylinder to the neck of the vase using more than, I think it's 10,000 points of reference. So a very accurate representation of that neck of the vase. And you can compare it to that top. So we know, okay, that cylinder, once you map a geometric object to it, you can perform geometry on it, figure out what's its center line, what's its center point, all that stuff. It's perpendicular to the top of the vase, perfectly within 1/1000th of an inch.
Wow.
and then you
basically the top is really even.
It is super even, but now you've got, think of it, now this vase, we've defined an like a horizontal axis and a vertical axis.
Yeah.
Now we can go and map geometric shapes to other parts of the vase, the cylinders to the lug handles, cones to part of the vase body, or a sphere to part of the vase body.
I just want to make it like digestible, because I heard you talk about this before. And so just for that top part, basically, if we assume the bottom is flat, the top is almost perfectly parallel to the bottom or the ground it's setting on. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, so
in terms of precision, right?
Perpendicular and parallelism.
Perpendicular is when this
perpendicular is the T, 90 degrees.
The two guys are doing it. But I'm just trying to explain like how flat the top is, and that's why it's so impressive.
Well, it's flat. I think if you go to the first one, it's flat within like 4/1000th of an inch or something. It's insane. Like it's.
And then no ancient tools as we know them would be.
You couldn't.
You need a level with
The point of this is this is so far beyond the realms of some dude banging on it with a rock or grinding on it with sand and a stone, which is how they say they were made.
And
it's impossible to explain this with hand tools.
But this is the thing that's so interesting to me, is that like there's this sophistication bestowed upon a quite meaningless object.
Right.
It's
a whole other thing.
A pyramid is different.
And 50,000.
It is.
And 50,000 of them.
Yes.
So you need to be able to replicate that.
Maybe they have
over
factories.
and over and over again. Now we're talking.
There's an industrial process at point here. And so there's a longer discussion you can get into about the relationship between precision and function. You only develop this type of ability to work in these precise measures if you are getting a functional return. Think about it this way, but once you have that capability, right, your manufacturing capability can be very precise, you can then apply it to everything, right? So I think there were functional objects. Some of these, either it's the sites, might be the pyramids, might be these giant bloody boxes that are underground everywhere. I think a lot of that seemed to show the same type of precision. I think they had a functional purpose. I think that's why they developed this level of precision. But then they just applied that manufacturing process to everything. Think about, like, have you ever owned a car from the 60s? Yeah? Like, you have to turn the wheel this far to make it actually the wheels before they start to turn, and the panel gaps are wide, and the rain gets let in, and cars today, they're beautiful, they're all put together. We don't need that, but our manufacturing capabilities has robotics.
They've been refined.
Much better. That precision in manufacturing gets applied, and I think that's what we're looking at here. I actually think there may be functional purposes for these things. They could have acoustic properties. There might have been parts of other machines. We don't know. That's the other crazy part about this, is like, it's the temptation is always there to look at us and say, how would we...
A base to us is not a base to them.
It might not
be more than ours.
Exactly.
It might be, It might be something else.
Here's a question I have for asking for a frame of reference. This civilization was much more advanced than we were up until recently. Around what time did our modern civilization become as advanced as they were, if at all?
No, I think so. We could do, if we put the time and effort and money and resources to it, I think we could replicate a lot of this stuff. We haven't ever done it. It's too expensive. It's like no one's got the backbone or the resources to do it. That's not to say we couldn't do it.
Well,
I think our technology, I think, is different. I think when you look back at technology, think about, like, you talked about the progression of technology over a couple hundred years, right? We've gone down this electromechanical route of how we work and the world works. The temptation is there to then apply that to the past. But think of, like, in 50 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, we're going to know so much more about all these other realms of science and technology. I just think some of the answers and the paths that this civilization may have taken could be outside of our current understanding or perspective. I think they may have taken different routes. Their technology might have been very different. So it becomes really hard to kind of guess at what it is.
And we have to assume that because there's no evidence of the electromechanical technology.
Well, yeah, there's nothing, like, there's no computers, there's the whole where are the tools argument is one that gets raised all the time.
And that's a reasonable fucking argument.
It is.
It's like you've got these things that can't be made with these ancient tools.
The ones we found.
The ones we found. So where are the fucking tools? And I think you hear this a lot of times with, like, the skepticism about ancient civilizations. It's like, okay, well, where they live? Where are the homes?